Welcome to the soccer field, where we're going to be doing a little demonstration video on how to do the basics of orienteering. Here we have a demonstration compass, which is a very large version of the actual one being used by the students. Parts of the compass is the first thing you need to know. A, the base plate is the big rectangular part. The dial that turns is a 360-degree dial. You also have the direction of travel arrow, the orienting arrow, which we fondly call the dog house at this end, and the magnetic needle, which on this demonstration compass is not magnetic. But you want to have the red end will always point to north. So let's actually show you how to use an actual compass. Alright, the first step in using an actual compass is to put the string over your head. That is so the compass is secure, so you're not having a tendency to want to swing the compass around, which creates these little bubbles, which causes a problem. So when you use a compass, the first step is how do you hold the compass? You want to hold it level with the direction of travel arrow pointing away from you. The actual compasses will say read bearing here, where it is the actual direction of travel arrow. Again, the 360 dial turns. The magnetic needle you can see is rotating in there based on where north is, and the orienting arrow is where the doghouse is being covered up right now. Alright, so how do we set the compass for a reading? The first thing you want to do is actually turn the dial to the reading that is given to you. So let's say right now for a reading of 37 degrees. Okay. Once I have that reading, my next step is again holding the compass level in front of me, direction of travel arrow pointing away from me. I want to slowly turn my body until the red end of the magnetic needle ends up in the orienting arrow. Or we say until the dog is in the doghouse. The little white end is his tail. So as I turn my body, you will see that the direction of travel arrow now points across the field, the soccer field, to the opposite end of the goal. Once we have this reading set and we know where we're heading, we can go there directly without holding on to the compass the entire time. So just tuck the compass in against your chest and head off in that direction. Okay, we now are at the spot which we believe is our destination. So we're going to double check to make sure we actually are at the right spot. To do that, we turn around and face where we came from. And down across the field where we started is Jessica. If we are at the right spot, our tail of the dog, which is actually the white end of the magnetic needle, should now be in the doghouse. Or the white end should be in the orienting arrow. You see the little house under there? That tells us we are exactly at the right spot, which is great. Now we're on to the next step. Okay, just a few more details about how to use the compass. When they are given the bearing, a reminder that these compasses they are 2-degree compasses, so every little mark on the 360-degree dial is equal to 2 degrees. So when you give the students a bearing of, let's say, 109 degrees, they will turn the dial. There's 100. Here's 110. So 109 is going to be right between the marks of 108 and 110, but neither of those are labeled as such. Again, using an actual compass, the 360-degree dial rotates. You turn the compass to the 109 degrees. Here's 110, 109. We now make sure that the dog is in the doghouse, and we are actually facing right where we need to be heading. I'll show you how to do the little activity that is a part of the orienteering class. Students will be giving a paper with a starting point, and we are starting right here at point 3, and our first bearing was that 109 degrees we looked at a little bit earlier. So again, we hold the compass level, turn the dial to 109, make sure that the dog is in the doghouse, or the magnetic end, red end, is in the orienting arrow, and we now are headed in the direction of our direction of travel arrow, which is pointing us to, a little sign across the field. Let's head there. Okay, we now have reached our destination. So again, we turn around, double check ourselves, and now what should be in the doghouse? Oh, the tail of the dog. And it does point us right back to 3 where we came from, which is great. So now what we write on the paper here is the number where we were at, which is number 10. So you write number 10 right in the blank, and as a whole group, staying right here at the number 10, you now set your compasses for the next bearing, which is 288 degrees. Notice it says to go beyond 3. So we set our compass for 288 degrees. Our next step is to put the dog in the dog house. And we will head in that direction. Alright, so we're going to head off, and in our line of travel I can see something way out there. It looks like a volleyball pole. That looks like it's directly in line with our travel, but I'm also tempted to stop at 3. But remember, it says to go beyond 3. Whenever you're doing these activities, do not fall to that temptation of stopping at points that follow along your path. Go on to your destination. So we're going to head off to that point now. Alright, we've reached our destination, and again we turn back to where we came from, and awesome, the dog's tail is now in the doghouse. So we then go ahead and write the number 2 on the next blank here. When you finish with your activity, you'll come back to the leader. They will give you a code which is set for your activity, and in this case we had 10, which is an H. We had a 2, which is an I, which spells high. If it spells a word, you have scored 100% and great. Now it's time to hand out the equipment to the children. Go ahead and have them get in groups of 3 or 4. Each group will be given a little wooden pad to write on, a piece of plastic in case it's raining to hide their paper, a pencil, and a paper for their starting point. There are various starting points. This one is actually starting at 3, and you'll give that to the group, and they can head off and begin their fun. Reminder, when they finish, come back to the leader, get their alphabet code, and see how they scored. Have a lot of fun, and
enjoy!